So Christmas is coming. Time to make a list for Santa to see what you want. Time to get some presents up together for the children, the grandchildren, and other members of the family as well. Time to, oh yes, do a bit of baking. So how about we take a look at baking up a traditional Christmas cake? Sounds good, doesn't it? So let's just bake it. Right then, let's take a look at the first set of ingredients we're going to need. So this is our fruit mix. We've got 600 grams of mixed fruits, raisins, currants, some peel there as well. And we've got 300 grams of sultanas, 100 grams of Glace cherries. You could always add more if you really like Glace cherries. We've also got an orange, which we need the orange zest off that, and some brandy. Now with these Glace cherries, I'm just going to cut them into halves. These are all very sticky. So we'll add the cut up Glace cherries to the bowl of mixed fruit. And also our sultanas, we'll add those to the mixed fruit as well. Now with the orange, we want the orange zest, so we're going to scrape this down. And now with our orange zest, we'll add that to the dry fruit mixture. Then we're adding our other ingredient, which is the brandy. So we want 150 millilitres of brandy. You could also use sherry if you so wish, or you don't have to put any alcohol in it at all if you don't want to. There are other fruit juices you could add if you so wish. And then we'll pour this brandy all over the fruit. And mix it all in together. Okay, and then we're going to leave it to ferment. Right, so that's our fruit all nicely mixed up. We just need it to settle for a while now, so we're going to put a cover over it and leave it for 3 days. Let the fruit soak into that brandy, and then after 3 days we'll look at making the cake up and adding the fruit into the cake mix. Okay, so welcome back. We're now ready to go with the second part of this Christmas cake bake. The fruit has now been soaking for about 4 days, and it's marinated well with the brandy. It smells lovely. So it's time to put this all into the cake mix, and let's bake up our Christmas cake. So let's just take a look at the rest of the ingredients we're going to need. Okay then, so obviously we've got our fruit. We've got plain flour, 275 grams of plain flour. We've got some brown sugar, 250 grams of that. Some black treacle, also mixed spice, 4 to 5 eggs. If they're large eggs, then usually 4 would be enough. These ones are a little bit smaller, so I'm going with 5 in this mix. And 250 grams of butter or margarine. So firstly, we'll bring this big bowl, let's put that over there for a minute. Okay, we want to add in there our sugar and our butter. And then give that a bit of a mix up. So once that's all nicely mixed in there, we'll start adding your eggs in there. So mix them up one at a time. Okay, that seems nicely mixed up. We'll now add some black treacle. So I'm going to add in a tablespoonful of treacle. And then mix that all in. Now we're going to add in 2 tablespoonfuls of mixed spice. That's 1 and 2. Okay, and then mix that all in together as well. Okay, then we're going to start to add our plain flour in. And just mix that in. Sort of fold it into the mixture. Right, so I'm going to put the cake mix into this tin, but to help try to stop it from sticking, I'm going to put some butter around it, and also I'm going to put some baking paper in there as well. I'm just going to make up the base to start with. So I'll cut this to the size of the tin. Fold that in half. Fold it in half again. And we'll bring that over like so. And we'll bring it over again. One more like that. And ready from the middle point, which is round about there, we want to cut it across. There. And there's our base. Push that into the corners. Then we'll place the cake mix into the tin. We want to push it all into the corners. Try to smooth it all off to be nice and flat. Right, there we go. Ready for the oven. Right, we'll place the cake mix into the oven. Preheated oven. We need to cook this at 140 degrees, or in gas terms it's gas marked 1. Right, so that cake needs to bake in there for about 4 to 4.5 hours, but it'd be a good idea to check it in about 2 hours time to see how it's doing. Okay, I think this is probably done now. Looks like it. Yes, that's fine. Well, really pleased with that. So we're going to let that cool down for a while, and once it's cooled down, I'm going to wrap it up in some tin foil, put it into a container, leave it for a few days, then open it back up again, and we're going to add some more brandy to it. We'll do that 2 or 3 times, and then in about a week, week and a half time, we'll get it back out again, and we'll start with the decoration. So we'll just remove this tin foil. Just remove it gently because we'll be putting this back on again in a minute. So what I'm going to do is just put a few holes in the cake. And pour a bit of brandy into a glass. And then with a brush, we're just going to brush this brandy over the cake. And with the holes I've made, it should sink inside the cake. Smells gorgeous. Okay, so that should do for now. I'm going to wrap it back up again and then bring it back out in another couple of days and do the same process. Well, welcome back. This Christmas cake has now been stood for a couple of weeks with me occasionally topping it up with brandy, so it's nicely fermented now. The next stage of course is to decorate it, so let's have a go at that. So let's remove all this tin foil. Oh, it smells really nice. It smells really nice, it does. Okay, and then we'll put it on top of the turntable. So what we're going to do next is put some jam on this, then some marzipan, and then the icing. So let's put this jam all the way over. Also we want to get around the sides as well. This is going to help the marzipan stick to it. Now you can use whatever flavour jam you want to, but I'm using, and I quite like this one, pumpkin jam. Okay, so I'm going to roll out some marzipan next. Right, I think that should do. We'll place that on the cake now. Right, so very carefully pick this up and place it over the top of the cake. And flatten it out. Okay, that's looking good, and in a minute we'll trim up the edges. Okay, so then with a knife we'll just go around and trim off the edge. Okay, good. So that's the marzipan layer done. The next layer, of course, is going to be the icing. So we're going to roll out some white fondant icing and place that over the top of the cake. Okay, so again, like with the marzipan, we'll just move this around a little bit, this icing, to get it a bit more pliable. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, just flatten it out. And then we'll start to roll it out like we did with the marzipan. Try to keep it as much as you can into a circle so it fits nice and neatly over the top of the cake. Right, I think that should do. That should be large enough to go over the cake now. So we'll bring the cake back in now. Okay, so we're going to put this over the cake. I don't want this one to break up, So I'm just going to use the rolling pin as an aid to lift it and place it on top of the cake. There we go. I'll just move it into shape. Okay, and then just, again, like before, we're just going to flatten it down into position. And then with a knife, we'll just trim up the edges. Let's push all those into the corner. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is very carefully lift this cake and put it onto a silver foiled cake board. You may be wondering why I didn't do it to start with. The reason in that, for my thinking anyway, is that when I trim the edges up, I didn't want to get cut lines on the board. So let's just give this a little bit of a lift. Okay, there we go. Okay, then I'll just place this back on top of the turntable. So we can finish the decoration off. So it's time to put the decorations on top of the cake now. And I always like to just lay them out like this first, so I get the correct order in which I like them to be displayed on the cake. So I'm going to start off by placing some holly in the front. And we'll put one on the back and one on each side. And I'm going to stick on the Christmas tree, but there's no spike at the bottom of this one, so I'm going to put a little bit of icing on the base of it. Okay, and then we'll stick that one into the middle of the cake. And then the same for the Father Christmas. Okay, we'll stick him just over there. And likewise with the snowman as well. We'll stick him just there. Then we've got a couple of Christmas trees that we're going to put at the back here. Okay, and then there's just the robins. I'll put one robin just there. And the other robin just there. And the last one of the most important parts, is the Merry Christmas, which we'll put in the middle there. So there we have it, one traditional fruit Christmas cake. I'm sure the family are going to enjoy that. And if you've enjoyed what you've seen, then please give a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of these, please subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and have a happy Christmas.